Chapter 12. Running into History. The rain pounded on the living room window. Allie sat in the windowsill, watching the busy street out front. Most of the people outside seemed well prepared for the rain, with umbrellas and raincoats. Carriage drivers, exposed to the elements, sat drenched, as others rode in their comfortable enclosed cars. Allie had no raincoat, just her bag of clothes from Vila, the only set of belongings she had in this new and hopefully temporary life. And today was the day she would move out of Otto and Sim's home and into a place of her own. She'd been ready to leave yesterday, but the old man upstairs had been given priority at the boarding house, forcing her to wait another day longer. Dressed in her new brown shorts, white short-sleeve top, and burgundy tights, she watched the rain drizzle across the flowers in the garden. Her hair was pulled back into her usual ponytail the way she liked it, with her brown bangs draped across each side of her face.
Guess we'll either have to run to the boarding house or wait till the rain stops. That is, if you don't mind getting wet.
Asked Otto as he came down the stairs from his room.
No, it's fine. I miss the rain anyway.
Yeah, we don't get rain very often. But when it does rain, it can last for some time. We'll head out in a few minutes. Hopefully it will have stopped by then.
How's Sam?
Fine, or so he says. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he's faking it, though. Refuses to give in even when the odds aren't in his favor. Works too hard for his age, in my opinion.
Otto walked around the corner and into the kitchen. Allie looked back out the window, scared of going to a place she had never been before. Yet, after the near tragedy in the basement, she felt more prepared to face the unknown. The worst had happened already. Every day in this new world felt like an uncharted sea she was forced to explore. She feared it, but at the same time, she enjoyed the new sights and faces, turning out to be the journey she'd always wanted. Allie suddenly remembered the opportunity she was missing out on back home. Walter Steele was ready to offer her a new, adventurous opportunity, and he would be left wondering what had happened to her. She found the moment ironic. Her adventure had proved undoubtedly bigger than whatever he had in mind. If only he had known what fate really had in store for her, she was sure he would have loved to hear all about it. Perhaps even publish her story as one of his books.
You ready to go?
Asked Otto. Allie turned around and saw him standing in the doorway at the back of the living room, wiping his hands dry with a towel.
Yeah, ready when you are.
Allie picked her bag up off the floor. An alarm sounded downstairs, and Otto's gray wrist communicator rang. Otto looked at his communicator and shook his head.
Always at the worst of times. Hang tight for a minute, kiddo. I'll be right back.
He made his way through the living room and down the stairs to the basement. Allie sat on the couch. The alarm stopped just as she heard Sim's door upstairs open. Sim hobbled out, dressed in a pair of boxers. His hair slipped on one side from his pillow, with the sleep still lingering in his eyes.
Was that the alarm?
He asked Allie, sounding alert.
Yeah, Otto just went downstairs.
She said, still sitting on the couch. Sim shuffled his way toward the staircase to get a better look at the doorway below to the basement. They could hear Otto making his way back up the steps at a slow, casual pace.
That the alarm?
Asked Sim as Otto walked out from the basement.
Yeah, you have plenty of time, though. No need to hurry and hurt yourself again.
All right, I'll get dressed.
Said Sim. He made his way back over to his room.
And put on some clothes next time before you go peeking your head out. You're not the only one who lives here, you know.
Hollered Otto. Otto looked over at Allie, who was still sitting on the couch gazing back at him. She was beginning to wonder whether they were going to leave now, or if she would have to wait even longer. Otto squinted at her in thought. A big smile grew on his face. He turned his attention back up to the balcony above him and shouted,
Allie's going with you.
Allie's eyes widened. She stared at him, unsure of what she had just heard.
I'm what?
Allie saw Sim's head poke out from his room with a shocked expression on his face.
She's what?
He asked, sounding appalled.
I said Allie's going with you.
Sim hobbled out of his room with his pants unbuttoned and stared down at Otto. Allie sat on the couch, still stunned and petrified like a stone statue. Life had once again proven her wrong. Things could get worse. Way worse.
You want to run that by me again?
What? You want me to spell it for you? I said Allie's going with you.
Very funny. Nice one. You honestly stopped my heart there for a minute.
Sim chuckled.
I'm not joking, kid. Allie's going along.
Sim's expression shifted from laughter to anger. He scowled as he leaned forward and gripped the railing.
Oh, no, she's not.
Yes. Yes, she is. The council wouldn't grant us free time, but they told me you could get another partner to help. It was either that or they'd give the project to Raz. I told them I'd think about it. Besides, you're hurt, and I can't go with you since someone has to watch your back from here.
I'm not taking on any partners. We've been over this. Many times, in fact. She's not even trained.
You can show her the ropes. Best way to learn how to swim is by jumping in.
Yeah, it's also the best way to drown, too.
Sim crossed his arms.
She'll be fine. It's a low-energy world with tons of time. Easiest rescue possible.
Yeah, the last one was a low-energy world, and look how that turned out.
Said Sim, lifting his leg up. Otto rolled his eyes.
Just get dressed. She's going with you.
Sim glared at Otto for a moment before giving in.
Fine, but I'm not babysitting her the whole time.
Replied Sim as he hobbled back into his room.
More like she'll be babysitting you.
Murmured Otto. Otto turned around to see Allie still on the couch, her body tense like a frightened fawn ready to bolt.
I don't think this is such a good idea.
She said. Otto walked into the living room. He knelt down in front of her.
You'll be fine, kiddo. You'll be like going for a hike or a walk through the park. Trust me, I think you'll love it.
I don't know.
Replied Allie as she took several deep breaths, trying to stay calm.
Hey, I know you can do it. The other day when I needed your help, you knew exactly what to do. And as much as Sam won't admit it, he needs your help now, too. Sam's not in the best shape to be going out there alone, and I have to stay here to watch you guys from this end.
Otto sat down next to her on the couch.
Listen, if you decide you don't want to go again after you get back, it's okay. We can always find someone else. I just need you to go with him this one time for me.
Allie and Otto looked up from the couch to see Sim come out of his room and limp down the stairs in his clothes.
Are we doing this or not?
Asked Sim, sounding annoyed. Otto looked back at Allie. She sat still, breathing deeply to try to calm her nerves.
All right, I guess.
Excellent. Now come on, let's go get you set up.
Otto jumped up from the couch and made his way over to the basement stairs, with Sim limping along behind him and shaking his head with disapproval. Sim looked at Allie with a cold look as he buttoned his shirt. Allie glanced back out the window to see the rain was starting to clear up. The suns were now shining. She only hoped she would make it back to see the same beautiful view again. She reached down to pick her clothes up off the couch. She stopped, quickly realizing there wasn't any point in bringing them with her. As she walked over to the basement with her heart beating rapidly in her chest, she wished she had a bag to breathe into.
Can you give me... I mean us. A time period and climate?
Sim asked, walking down the stairs.
Looks like early 4th century, somewhere moderately dry. There's a small energy level, so there might be some settlements close by. You'll probably want to put on the robes,
said Otto, looking at the computer.
Wait, so I got dressed up to change again.
Just put the robes on over top. No one will notice.
If it's hot, I don't want to be wearing 2 layers.
Just put it on, you big baby.
Allie slowly walked down the stairs. She watched Sim reach into the tall locker next to the stairs and pull out a light blue robe.
You want to grab Allie the other one?
Asked Otto, still staring at the computer screen.
We only have one.
Otto turned his head and looked back at Sim with his lips pursed and his brows raised. Sim sighed. He reached into the locker next to his, pulled out a light-colored woman's robe, and threw it over to Allie as she reached the bottom of the stairs.
Gah, put that on,
said Sim, turning back to his locker. Allie looked at the robe for a moment and noticed it was a finely decorated toga with a red cord belt sewn into the waist.
So I won't lose my clothes this time, right?
Sim rolled his eyes as Otto turned around in his chair.
Haven't had that problem yet. I'm assuming you remember the way I explained it the other day.
You mean the door thing? That when I first passed between worlds, it was like I was squeezing through a keyhole?
Asked Allie, hoping her memory served her correctly.
Exactly. As a result, your clothes didn't come with you since they weren't attached to you. This time, we'll be opening the whole door.
Allie slipped the toga on over her head and tied the belt around her waist. Sim walked over to the desk, unplugged his black wrist communicator from the computer, and clipped it around his wrist.
You should probably put on the sandals,
said Otto, pointing down at his feet.
I don't plan on being there long. And this robe is already long enough no one will see my shoes.
Sim handed Allie a pair of sandals to put on.
Fine, but I get to say, I told you so when you get back and I find out that someone caught you.
Otto turned around and looked at Allie. She stood with her arms out, feeling self-conscious as he scanned her.
Perfect. You look great. Now come over here and I'll finish setting you up.
Allie walked to the desk and stood next to Otto as he reached over and unplugged a dark red wrist communicator from the computer. He wiped the dust off it and pushed the power button on the side as the screen flashed white and showed the display.
You ever had a smartphone?
Asked Otto. Allie nodded.
Yeah, that's all anyone uses back home.
Perfect. Same thing. Smartphone for your wrist. Only difference, it connects you across worlds using the Ark as a satellite. Thankfully, we don't get a phone bill for it. And it's waterproof.
She's not using that,
said Sim in a stern voice pointing at the communicator.
We only have one,
replied Otto, gazing back at him with the same unshakable look. Otto turned his attention back to Allie.
I hate this idea more and more by the minute,
said Sim as he swept back over to his locker.
Press the green message button on the screen. You can record a message, and I'll get it back here on the computer or on my own handheld. There's a delay because of the whole broken space and time thing, but I'll send a message back to you as soon as I get it. So I'll be right there alongside you guys, okay?
Allie nodded as Otto showed her the screen.
It has a timer at the top of the screen showing the amount of time you have left. You guys will need to find the person you're looking for and get back here before the timer runs out.
What'll happen to us if the timer runs out?
Asked Allie, looking for a straight answer. Sim glanced over at Otto.
The world only has that long before it collapses.
And we die along with everyone else in that world,
added Sim, reaching into the locker and pulling out his pair of goggles. Allie looked at Otto, concerned expression written across her face.
Way to spell it out, kid.
Hey, if she's going with me, she better know the risks and the significance. Searching for one person in the same universe isn't like playing simple hide-and-seek. Let's just say, we don't make it back in time, you won't have to worry about going home anymore.
Otto shook his head at him.
Don't worry, kiddo. You'll be fine. You have 19 hours, which is more than enough time to find the person you two are looking for and get back here with them. Besides,
Even if you guys run out of time, you can come back here before the timer runs out, safe and sound.
We'll only have 17 hours if she's coming. The more physical matter we bring in, the less time we'll have.
Still, 17 hours is plenty of time.
Otto handed the communicator to Allie. She held it, hesitating to put it around her wrist.
So don't lose the fancy watch, or you'll have a hard time getting back here in case I'm not around.
Allie nodded.
Don't lose the fancy watch. Got it.
Grab the other goggles, too.
Said Otto. Sim looked down at the floor for a second, in anguish. He sighed, reached up, and grabbed a pair of goggles sitting on top of the locker next to his. Holding the goggles in his hand, he stared at them intently, rubbing the dust off the lenses with his thumb. Sim looked at his reflection in the dark lenses. Allie watched him, sensing the goggles meant more to him than anything else in the house.
Here,
he said, tossing them over to Otto without looking. Otto caught them with both hands.
Thanks, kid.
Whatever,
replied Sim, pulling his brown leather backpack out from the locker and hanging it on the doorframe.
You're going to want to put these on before you go.
Allie took the goggles from Otto's hand and held them up to her eyes. She couldn't see anything through them, only a faint green glimmer of the room.
Welding goggles?
Otto rotated around to the computer.
You'll want them for when you leave and come back. Seb will explain everything else when you guys get where you're going.
Wish I'd had these when I first came down here.
Sem, don't forget the communicator covers.
already got him,
replied Sim, pulling a fabric bag from his locker and placing 2 large bracelets into it. Allie wrapped the goggles around the top of her forehead, ready to put them on when the time came. She stood, as eager and anxious as the day she started her job. Standing on the cliff's edge, ready to take the dive. She felt scared, but excited.
Make your own history, Spark.
Mumbled Allie to herself, remembering her father's words.
All right, you kids are all synced up. You ready?
Asked Otto. Sim picked the fabric bag up off the floor and placed his leather backpack in the locker. He turned around and faced the machine, slipping the bag's straps on over his shoulders. He glared at Allie.
When I go, you follow me. Understood?
Got it.
All right. Hit it,
said Sim. Allie watched him pull his goggles on from around his neck. Allie followed his lead and pulled the goggles down over her eyes. The room turned black through the dark lenses. She could see the arc at the other end, but only just. Otto reached across his desk, grabbed his own goggles, and put them on. Allie gradually began to see the light from the arc pierce through the black curtain ahead of her. Like a single star in the night sky, she watched it grow brighter and brighter until she saw what lay beyond it. A large palm tree on a sandy hill swayed through the gateway ahead of her. The feeling of a fresh, warm breeze blew in across her face, pushing her bangs to the side.
Go for it!
Yelled Otto over the roar of the arc. Allie watched Sim take off in a full sprint for the doorway ahead of her, his robe and bag flapping in the breeze. Her feet hesitated to follow. Fear wrapped around her again, holding her in place. She had to decide: to continue living in anxiety, afraid of the unknown, or to venture forth into a new and bigger adventure. She took a deep breath of fresh desert air. The fear and doubt loosened its grip on her. Allie threw her right arm forward, pushed back against her left leg, and took off in a full-on sprint, abandoning her fear in the room behind her. She took the leap, ready to face the future ahead. somewhere in the past.
Hey everyone, this is Carl G. Brooks, the voice of Sem from Sem Adventures Across Time. If you've enjoyed your adventures across time so far, be sure to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/TS Wieland. With your support, you'll gain early access to the next chapter of the book, and even a copy of the book itself. With your contribution, more thrilling and inspiring audiobooks can be made every day through the hard work, time, and dedication of voice actors and artists all around the world, including myself, all working together. From all of us here in the world between worlds, we'd like to thank you for joining us on our adventures.